while Scott gets a water. And Scott is there with a water. There we go. Good morning.
Good morning. This on? Nah.
No.
Good old riff microphone strikes again.
Do you want the one that works?
No, it's all good. You can all hear me. I'll just shout.
We'll just get close.
No, it's too close. Go away. Okay, who hasn't been to Morning Startup before? Okay, welcome. First timer. Nice. Anyone else?
None
All
of
right.
there. Not welcome.
Well, we run this every 2 weeks, rain, hail or shine. We are two fellow entrepreneurs, startup folk that just want to get together as often as possible with other entrepreneur startup folks so we can share our stories and our pains and meet you all and get smart people under the same roof as often as possible. That's why we exist, and we'll put on an interesting speaker and do some networking. And where's our food? We've usually got food.
It is over there. It's around the corner. So I'll grab it while we're talking and move it there.
Right.
But
So
if you didn't know,
why
this
we
is
exist.
Scott. My name's Dave.
Yes.
And we've been doing this for nearly 12 years.
12 years.
12 years.
Off and on.
Yeah. And we have a format. And that format is, for those of you who are new, if you're brave enough, do you want to stand up, introduce yourself, tell us if you're working on something, and also if you've got a shameless plug, call it out. You don't have to, but it does help. Who's brave enough to kind of stand up? And even if you haven't, if you've been here before and you want to have a shameless plug, then call it out. Anybody want to?
Who's brave enough to go first?
Go on then.
Good on ya.
I'm going to give you the mic because we are streaming this.
Just because you've given me a free copy.
Oh, there we go. Well, we didn't give you a free coffee. These lovely gentlemen next to you gave you a free coffee.
Thank you for the free coffee. I'm a founder at Portable PPB, which is a startup. We won Innovator of the Year last year. We're a gold startup. We can find our motto is we can find gold faster by exploring smarter. My name's Mel Linton.
Do you have an ask? Is there something you're looking for specifically at the moment? No. No? Okay. Anybody else brave enough to sort of introduce? Go on then.
Why not? My name is Greta, and I'm here on behalf of my student organisation, university student organisation, Initiate, and we work mainly with engineering students to give them practical experience by working on a semester project with different charities or not-for-profits. So it's that sort of social cause with the practical experience. And yeah.
You got an ask?
Fantastic.
Well, we're always looking for potential community partners. So if anyone has any ideas, feel free to let me know.
So companies with engineering projects is kind of what you're looking for?
Partners which might have some sort of technical problem.
Okay.
Yes, and then we partner with them and our students work on sort of finding some sort of solution to that problem over the semester.
Excellent.
Brilliant. Anybody else want to pitch or introduce themselves?
one
Dino,
back
you
there.
can put your hand up first.
Cheers, Dave. Hiya, my name's Guy. My buddy and I have a little startup, Driverton. Bothered you with that flyer you're seeing. Basically, we provide free airport parking and we rent your car out to other travellers passing through. Proud to say we've got our supply side, just about 10 cars, but they're ready to go. So really looking for people that fly into the airport and normally would go to a traditional airport car rental. Thanks for your time.
Cheers.
Excellent. Who here would put their car up at the airport? All right, you got another one.
Yeah, morning. My name's Lawrence. I'm a member of a legal engineering guild. We're actually standing up a little bit of a crowdsourcing activity for the rest of the year on how to regulate AI. So if people got some thoughts or strong opinions or even a solution from the engineering guys, we'd love to hear from you because we're trying to get ideas on what we can do to sort of control the huge outflux of basically crappy information that's coming out of AIs, and regulation may be one arm.
Thank you. Brilliant.
Excellent.
Anybody else want to stand up and
Did so.
introduce themselves?
More shameless plugs.
Shameless plug?
No.
No?
Last chance.
Last chance.
Very well. Well, we've got a few people, a few things to go through before we get into our speaker. So, Founder Sundowner, hopefully you're all morning people because you're here. But if you're not, we also have once a month over at Nowhere Man Brewery. Come along for a drink and a chat with other startup founders. Pizza's free, beer's not, unfortunately, or drinks, whatever you're into. We're live streaming as well, as you've probably seen.
So big thank you to the Department of Jobs, Tourism, Science and Innovation, JITSI, and the New Industries Fund for sponsoring it. Like I say, they are streaming it to the regions, and I think there's also some international viewers I heard from Jürgen from some of the playback, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But if you haven't, check out all the different programs they've got. From Innovator of the Year, we've got one winner here today.
It works.
Right the way through to the Waves program, which helped bring some new VCs to WA. And if you haven't, check out dealroom.co and go and claim your profile. And if you'll be surprised, your business is probably on there. Go and update it and give it some information.
In control. Yeah.
Just add to that because I'm from that department.
Representing
So I'd like to just add to that we have some amazing grant programs. Innovation Booster Grant. Next closing date for that is the 15th of August. That's for small startups. And then we have the Commercialisation Bridge Grant, which is then to upscale your business to avoid that, value of death situation. And that if you check out the New Industries Fund page on the website, you'll find loads of information there to support small startups in the ecosystem.
Fantastic. And the CBGs, that's like $200,000 of match funding. Yep. And the Innovation Booster Grants of about 40,000, right?
So if they go to wa.gov.au/NIF, they'll be able to direct them to the right way. Brilliant.
Fantastic. Perth Video, get your live streaming from them. They're awesome. How's that for a plug? Cool.
Ammo Marketing, if you haven't, do you know what's funny? Because I'm now getting on YouTube Ammo's marketing again. So on their shorts.
Ramped up the ads.
So it's working. So if you haven't checked out Ammo, check out ammo.marketing. Very helpful in done some really well-known sort of activities. They helped do the West Tech Fest. They've done a number of the cyber event. They're very, very good marketers. So if you do want some help, go and check out Ammo. And also, more importantly, go and listen to the Weird Growth podcast. Very informative, got great speakers and interviewees like Scott here.
Yes. Who hasn't subscribed to Weird Growth podcast?
Go and
Kevin,
subscribe.
I'm surprised. Get on it.
Yes.
It's great.
Right.
All right, Beecham Group. Glenn, how are you, man? So if you need talent in your organisation, you're looking to hire people, go and have a chat with Glenn. He can help you out with that. He's really good at it. He's been doing it for a long time, knows everyone in Perth. So nothing he can't help you with. Or if you're looking to hire people into your organisation, have a chat.
Brilliant. Jesse at Keep Space, who knows what 3PL is?
Third-party logistics.
Is it? I don't know. But I always get it. Basically, if you're who's in e-commerce here? Who's got an online shop? Anyone in here? No? Okay. Okay, well, basically, Jesse helps you out. If you've got something that's e-commerce or in 3PL and you do want something shipped, then check out Keep Space. They're a great initiative where you can sort of, I believe, plug in like your Wix or your Shopify, and when you get your orders, it just goes to their fulfillment and they just ship it out for you. Easy peasy. They got places here in Perth and in Melbourne, and they're great. And thank you to them. There is some brekkie which will move across there.
So they help us out with the food. Thank you, Jesse. And of course, Matt and Patrick at TechOn. They who's got a coffee and got it for free from Joey Zaz's. Thank these folks here for that. Thank you very much, TechOn. They have an awesome crew of developers over in Nepal, all managed here in Perth. So if you are looking for software developers, very, very cost effective. We've both used them. It's used a ton. Who else has used TechOn here? Oh, come on. Fine. Sorry, that didn't work. But they're very good. Get on them.
You've changed this slide up.
Yeah,
What's
that's
missing?
right.
I know what's missing. Okay, so we couldn't put this place together without the help of Space Cubes. They give us, Scott and I are volunteers. We've been doing this for the love of giving back to the ecosystem here. But we couldn't do it without the help of some supporters to pay for stuff. So, like I say, Jesse pays for breakfast, Tech pays for the coffee, Beecham pays for our house, and now my help pay for the subscription of Meetup. But Space Cube give us a space for free, and we bring beautiful people here every morning, rain, hail, or shine, to this. So if you haven't checked out Space Cube, you do need a co-working space, and check out any of the 3 spaces they've got. They've got this, Riff, well, us old timers that know it as still a Space Cube, I still call it Space Cube. You've got Fern just a little bit further down, and then you've got Flux right at the other end at 191 St George's Terrace. Also, who's subscribed to Startup News here? Who's not subscribed to Startup News? Who's now got a to-do in their list to subscribe to Startup News?
We Growth, Startup News, you've got a thing to do.
Yes. So every Friday in your inbox, real healthy dose of what's going on here in WA.
And Startup WA, make sure you're a member. They're our body for lobbying to government. So get on Startup WA, 100% free. You'll at least receive their emails about what's happening in the Perth startup ecosystem and invites to their events. They've got a few things coming up. So yeah, get on Startup WA. And Plus 8 are a cool accelerator that you've been through. It works. You're still going. You've got a company. You've raised millions. So get on Plus 8. If you want to learn how to become a better entrepreneur, go through the program. They take you to beautiful cities internationally. I think London is still the one this year. Yeah.
They were literally about to go to Israel last year. And
that's right.
Unfortunately, some stuff happened. So, but yeah, if you haven't, check out Plus 8. They do have a sprint program. They have the other programs as well. The main one at the moment happens once a year. The main cohort, which is probably about, I'd say, a third of the way through it. I think they're probably getting close to where they do the cull and they get rid of the 6 of the sort of 12, I think, or however many they're going through, and then get the money. But it's a great program, so definitely worth doing.
Cool. Our speaker today got in touch with me because they were in the audience just like you, and they reached out saying, I've got some things that the Perth startup community might want to know about. So if you've got something the Perth startup community wants to know about, be interested in doing a talk one day, hit us up. We're Morning Startup on all the things. Hopefully we're easy to find. Just shoot us an email or whatever. And this is coming up in 2 weeks' time. Like I said, we run this every 2 weeks. So we've got Nana. He's been here before judging one of our pitch events. He's at Maiden Capital. So they help organise funding for startups, and then they go to high net worths and pull together funds and all of that stuff. He's going to talk about WA's funding landscape. So we all know about Purpose Ventures and Perth Angels and things like that. He's going to sort of summarise all that for us and give us some tips and tricks on pitching and just raising money in Perth specifically. So it should be interesting.
Yep, definitely.
And that's formalities out of the way.
We've got a few. It's just a slow burn.
Yeah, okay. I think maybe we should start dropping that. I need another dad joke.
We do.
That fits in there. All right, cool. Well, that's probably enough from us, though. So today, as I said, we're very lucky to have Pitchapa, who's volunteered to do an awesome talk for us today on using AI. Right, I'm sure you've all used AI in your day-to-day life, and it might just spew out a whole bunch of words that look nice and kind of read well, but it might not be exactly, your voice, or maybe you're using it for images and it's coming out with people with weird fingers and just not quite right that you can, actually use that in production. So actually, just how many of you have actually used AI and just put it out there without any tweaks or, yeah?
I have to say, last weekend I had to work on a document, and I actually used hands up who pays for ChatGPT. Who's got the commercial? Yeah, it is. It's now out there with one of the things I wouldn't remove, like Spotify. It's one of those subscriptions that you couldn't remove from me, I think, at this moment, unless something better came along. But it was the first time ever where I kind of felt like it was very much like Star Trek, where you're saying, who's used the voice part of it? Yeah. On the desktop app now, and it's absolutely amazing, where I literally clicked it and I was like, okay, I want to imagine this, I need to do X, Y, and Z and have a conversation. So I was sat there in my office walking around chatting while it's having this conversation with AI, and it literally saved weeks. And it was the first time I thought, this is the first time really, it's a bit like you see on Star Trek, where you're kind of having that conversation with the interface, and it's delivering all the outputs for you. So, and this is the worst it'll ever get. So it's mind-blowing.
It's fun. Yeah. Anyway, so Pitchapa, you're going to tell us some things, if you are using AI, how you can even use it even better and more responsibly in your organisation. So please make a welcome, Pitchapa. There you go. That's you. And I'll switch over to your thing. There we go. All right. Cheers.
Right. Okay. Right. Morning, everyone. Nice to meet you all, first of all. So, yeah, I'll be talking about using AI, right, and dodging digital disasters. Yeah. So, just a bit on the agenda for today. So, we'll just do a quick introduction. Don't think I need to do much with being this tech geek. Some examples of what's right, and then how to avoid some of the pitfalls that I have seen. Some other consideration, and we'll run through conclusion. And I hope I do well with the time, but let's see how that goes. Right, so let's get into it. Who am I, first of all? So I have engineering background and I have been tech enthusiast, including AI. So have been start doing like hello world since I was in elementary. Things has changed and evolved as we go as the world as well. So I was first exposed to AI probably like when I was in uni. So that's several years ago. It comes back again as well. And should mention, I'm originally from Thailand, have been studying and moving around the world a little bit. And lastly, I moved to Perth probably like 3.5 years ago. We'll continue to be here. That's the plan for now. And I'm also a co-founder of Polarlancer. So it's basically like polar bear and freelancer. But what we do, we're a freelancer marketplace, so we embrace the transparent use of AI, and also to support the small businesses. And what we see or what we want to deliver to the business and community is the AI powered with human perfected services, which kind of resonate with what I will talk about today as well. So yep, that's pretty much about me. All right, and just a quick what's AI? Not that everyone not already know, but basically it's a artificial intelligence. So it's basically like a computer that processes like a brain. So it's not just you put A and it gives B, but it thinks a bit more. It processes a little more than that. That's AI. And the part where I'll focus a bit more today is the generative AI, which is basically a subset of AI, but then it focuses on creates contents like text, image, so like ChatGPT, Midjourney, a lot of those out there these days that a lot of people use. I think most of you has used anyway, or if not, then I'm sure you will be using them soon. Now, especially in the context of business, AI can do a lot of things. These are just some quick examples. So chatbots, data analysis, customer behavior. If you have used like Amazon or whichever out there, when it says, like you might also be interested in these, or if you go in a lot of websites, it says you might be interested in these services that comes even before you start search for things. So those are the kind of things that AI can do, and they basically study what you do and then what you might like. And also digital marketing contents, so articles, blogs, posts, pictures, a lot of those that can be generated by AI. Now, all the good things, what I want to get into as well is example of right AI usage. Now, when I say right, it doesn't mean something else is wrong, but I probably look a bit more to like maximizing the benefits and also avoid the shortfall. So there are certain things I think a lot of you have seen that I will go through today, and then let's see what are like tips and tricks that I want to share, and happy for the audience to share with me as well what you have seen, and also what are the things that you have used, have done. I'm sure it's a big world that we can learn from each other. So let's get into it. This is the first example that I want to pull up. This is a random search that I have done in the past, but basically I'm asking AI to give me some example of usage of AI. It come up with this. So example is customer service. Companies like Airbnb use ChatGPT to provide 24/7 customer service, right? Grants to it looks fine, but what I want to get into as well is fact checks. I'm not sure if you guys are already using it, but let's say, just a quick search. Does Airbnb actually use ChatGPT or not? It's probably the kind of things that when I read through, it's something that I spot and I feel like I need to check. Did a quick Google search. It's actually only in introduction stage, and this is from May 2024. So with ChatGPT being limited to information from 2021-22, this is probably most likely just a an example of company XYZ that they just replaced by Airbnb because Airbnb is one of the example of company that they can fit into that article. So these are the kind of thing that if you just glance through without checking and looking, you might just go ahead, copy, paste, spread it out there, but it might not be 100% accurate. And I would say be extra careful when there's specific references. So like if there are quotes, there are places, there are companies, there are people's name, those kind of things, especially when you quote something, it could become very interesting. So this one is another example. So I just asked for 5 quotes about innovation. First 3 are well, actually. So the innovation distinguished between leader and follower from Steve Jobs. That one is all good. Actually, the first 3 are all good. Now, 4th and 5th, quite interesting. So I just basically copied a quote from the 4th and 5th, went into Google search, no results. So that's pretty interesting. I mean, especially, like I said, especially when you want to quote specific things, have specific reference, it's probably worth just doing a fact check on these. And the easiest one would be Google search, but there are also websites or programs out there that can help automate and make this process easier as well. So that's number 1 for me, and not in priority or in any order. Right. Now, number 2, text generated by ChatGPT. So this is just one example I got generated from ChatGPT as well. Just a quick one, but I'll just read through the middle part where it says, when you delve into the realm of artificial intelligence, you unleash a super-powered capability of tackling mundane tasks. Now, that doesn't sound like what I would say, at least me personally. And probably a lot of you will recognize a lot of these words, really. Or these yellow things that I don't know why, but ChatGPT seems to like it a lot. You probably have seen in a lot of websites, or even when you Google search, if something comes up and the first thing it says is unleash something, you probably feel straight away that's ChatGPT. So these are some of the words, but there are a lot more words that you recognize. It comes straight from ChatGPT. Now, it's not wrong, but if you want to publish something, you probably want something that sounds a bit more like you write it, you have put an effort into it rather than, that's ChatGPT, right? So proofreading, I think, is quite important, and also editing, post-editing for these as well. One of easy use for that would be there are a lot of GPT detection software and websites. So basically, you just copy-paste, like this one, 100%. It's AI. So even if you don't read yourself, just put it through. It does tell you straight away, like, this doesn't look like something that human would write. So, one, and I think most importantly, avoid privatism. Don't just copy paste, but also ChatGPT detection. GPT detection can help, and also paraphrasing. So there are also programs out there which basically help you paraphrase. That's one option. The other one would be, I think the better option would be if you just read through, get the idea, rewrite it, make it in your word. That's definitely the preference. And this one just quickly with the paraphrasing software got it down to 64%. Still AI, not the best, but like this kind of post-editing, I think it's something that you can look at and implement, like especially with this kind of text. Right. Third one, post-editing, but now in the context of pictures. So, not sure if you already spot something wrong with this picture. And it's probably what you have seen before if you have used AI, but this person have an extra finger, and I have seen a lot of extra things, extra arm, extra hand, extra legs, even extra head coming out of a table, if you have seen one. So there are a lot of things, and give this one as another example. Meant to be morning startup. Didn't quite get it right with the logo. It looks nice though, but just the text wasn't right. So, have you seen these kind of things with AI generated images as well? So why did that happen? So when we look at things, we learn that human has 2 arms, human has 1 arm has 5 fingers, and 2 legs and those kind of things, right? But AI doesn't learn the same way as us. So they don't learn that human has 2 arms or things like that. They actually learn from metadata or the picture description. So basically you give them picture. This is how people describe that picture. And they try to correlate those description with the feature of the picture, right? But then they don't learn that human should have 5 fingers on 1 arm, for instance. That's why it come up with this, when their hand, it looks like they're this shape of things that they put extra one. Those kind of things. That's why. Now, how to fix it, right? One is negative prompt. So if you use Midjourney, there's an option to put dash no at the end. So basically you say like no 6 finger, no extra arm, those kind of things. It doesn't always work. In some of the more user-friendly platform, they have option just to put negative prompt. But like I say, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't quite fully understand what you want to achieve with that. So my preference would be post editing, really. So basically, if you got 6 fingers, put it on Photoshop, put it on Canva, put it on other post editing software which you can use. And even like Photoshop, you have option to actually use AI in Photoshop to get rid of that 6 figures in a way that it looks nice as well. So those are some options. And last point I put there is prompt engineer. So I think one of the key things with the learning of why it happened is that AI is slightly different, right? It has that slight different knowledge to make it work, which is the prompting. So you don't tell them in a way that you would describe things to people. You tell them in a way that AI would understand what you want. I think that's also an important thing in this world of generative AI as well. So if you try to explain this picture in a way that you would explain to your friend, it might not be the same way as the way that AI would understand what you want them to generate. So I think that's an important point as well, and important part from this learning. And just for that first one, so like, let's say, morning startup, it would be something easy that you can fix in, let's say, if you just put in even like Canva or whichever easy picture or image editing, just to get it to be morning startup. And I think I have seen it improve a lot, especially lately as well. Like when I started, or if I think about a year ago, if I wanted to generate morning startup logo, it wouldn't even read morning. It would just be like a random dash and, random shape. So right now it is able to get to morning star. Pretty good. It's not quite morning startup yet. So yeah, so that's another one that I have seen that could be improved. Fourth one, train and monitor. So this last example is a little more on the AI chatbot. So not the generative AI, but more so on the use of chatbot. So this is more like programming and stuff. So these are some examples I found online of what has gone wrong with the AI chatbot. So first example, McDonald's AI. Person was trying to order a plain vanilla sundae, I believe, that usually comes with caramel sauce. But the lady didn't want the caramel sauce. So she was trying to get AI to understand that no caramel, just plain ice cream. Went through iteration, ended up getting a packet of butter and ketchup on it, because AI didn't know how to get rid of the caramel sauce. Second one was AI was going through the ordering process, and just keep ramping up the number of chicken nuggets, end up with 2,000 chicken nuggets for that customer. Probably not what that person would want, and not what the company would want either. That's one. Second one, Chevy dealer AI bot. So this one is interesting. So the person got into conversation with the AI chatbot, and at the end got into getting a legal binding agreement with the chatbot to sell Chevy Tahoe for $1. That's pretty interesting, and definitely not what the company would want. So that's as well is how much you let the chatbot do the work for you as well. And last one, cookies and dollhouse delivered. So this was Alexa. So basically, there was a child talking to Alexa, probably going through conversation, this, that, and those. You want to have some cookies. You want to, play with dollhouse and that. Alexa was such a helpful helper that she wanted the girl to get it. So she ended up ordering cookies and dollhouse in Amazon, and it got delivered to the home. Now, the follow-on from that as well is there's a report that when that news went on the television, there was an Alexa on another household that picked up this word and ended up ordering cookies and dollhouse as well. Pretty interesting. But there are other examples as well. And this one, AI generated Uber Eats menu. So, be careful with what you put out there. First one is a picture of ranch on site, and didn't quite look right. Or the pie and the ravioli, which turned out probably not how you would want to order your food. So, just be a little careful and double check, I would say. So, train and monitor. Now, what are some learning and what you could do with these, right? One, train and monitor. So, like mentioned, it's AI as good as it is these days. It's not something that you just train once and let it run by itself. You should still monitor what it does, what's the outcome, make sure you monitor what it does. And also have human oversight and interaction, consider maybe some hybrid model, especially with chatbot. Don't leave the customer purely with AI. So have that option for them to contact yourself, even with email or whatever post communication that you can do. In case something goes wrong, that it can still be fixed, or in case AI didn't get it right, it can still be fixed. User feedback integration. So, like mentioned, you might not find it when you search because you always do the same thing, right? You know what you want to get from it, so you check the same thing. But with users, sometimes they come up with different questions. Some people are very creative, or some people just have fun with with some of the chatbot. I don't know why, but it's probably similar to when you get a scam call and sometimes you would, just having fun at that moment and you want to ask it something random because they are not real. So it could turn out pretty interesting with these. So I think getting user feedback as well. A lot of time you get good feedback from the users or customers. So that's something that would be good to implement. And last point, clear communication and transparency. So I would say people know anyway that it's chatbot. It's not person behind that computer. So it's probably worth just to say these are chatbot responding to them, and these are the things that the chatbot can do. If you're reaching the boundary of chatbot, contact us instead of letting the people to just talk and then they end up with something, like the previous examples that is really not what you want and not what they want. It can only hurt. Right. Now, some other considerations. So those are the examples I put, but there are also some other considerations that I want to put out there just in this context as well. One is licenses. And I think this is especially if you want to use it in the context of business or commercial. So a license vary across the AI tool. So if you go to different places, you have different license. Personal use, not very concerned for me personally, because you just read. You should still make sure you do the due diligence. As mentioned before, don't just copy, paste, and then use it everywhere. But when it comes to commercial usage, I think you need to be a bit extra careful. I think these days, as long as you pay, it's usually fine. But this example from Midjourney, for instance, if you're making more than 1 million USD, it's required that you cannot subscribe to the cheaper plan. You need to go to the mega plan or the pro plan, for instance. So depending on what tools you use, you might get this kind of condition on how you need to subscribe, what license you need to use in order to use their products. So something to consider. Lastly, AI bias. I'm actually think going quite faster than I thought, but last one that I want to put out there is AI bias. So, not sure if anyone has detected or feel this before, but these are some examples of AI bias. So, one of example is the hiring tool. So, if in certain case you might end up with hiring tool which prefer or favor certain category of candidates. So for instance, it might be just male candidates that get picked more than female, or some other consideration like that. You just need to be sure that you get rid of or deal with the AI bias such that you actually get it to select people from what you want them to select from. So skills, qualification, disregard those other things like gender, background, age, whichever else. And the other one is facial recognition system. This bias example is when it performs better on certain types of people or category of people. So these are some examples of AI bias. Right. Source of bias. So why does AI does that? I think most importantly is AI basically takes in the input, it tries to understand your inputs, and then it generates output, right? So depending on what source of information you give it, it gives the output which kind of mimic the inputs. So for instance, if you give it biased information, so if you give it hiring information where all selected candidates are male, then there is potential that AI might prefer male candidates, for instance. Because like I say, at the end of the day, AI try to learn and try to mimic the result. So if you give them biased information, then it could end up being a biased AI. The other one with the example of the picture is that it learned from input again. So if you only give them certain group of input, then it would perform better on that input, and unavoidably, because that's what it knows best. Same as us, if we have been taught math all life, we wouldn't do great at art. That just go without saying, right? So same with AI, if you learn art all your life, you probably wouldn't perform so well at math. So make sure that depending on what you want the AI to do, make sure you have that diverse information that given, and also fair information as well that is put into it, right? Because that's how it learns. And yeah, this one is probably a bit more interesting with impact to business and society, depending on how you use it for. So I think the same way as that we try to avoid like all this discrimination and stuff, AI is no exception. So we still need to make sure that we give it a fair play, I guess. And also similar to what was shared before, but audit the system as well. So make sure you oversight it, even though you think you give it the best information you have. It's still worth to check what is actually coming out, because it learned from input, but it still does its own learning algorithm. So I think check, verify, monitor. Those are still very important. And just with this one particularly, there are some software out there as well, or options or tools that can help you. So IBM's, Microsoft, and Google's. You can use those to help detect the bias. So, I think I'm actually going pretty fast, but just in conclusion, I think AI is powerful tool for personal and business use. I mean, even though a lot of examples show is what didn't go so right, but I think you could probably have seen that if it went right, so if we could, cut out that part that wasn't right, it could be very full tool. So, with those texts, it's actually pretty handy that it can generate all those texts. If we can just get rid of those, unleash, delve into Word, it could turn into like a pretty good way to write something. Picture as well, like with the logo, if you can get rid of the wrong text, you get pretty good logo. Even if you are not good at art at all, you can generate pretty good logo. Chatbot and all of that, it can be very powerful tool for business and personal use. You need to make sure that you avoid these pieces. And use AI as an assistant and not a replacement. I think human touch is still very important, at least for how AI is today. you still see that there are these like small minor things that can be tweaked, can be improved just by this monitoring and post editing stuff. And it's probably not the best picture, but I think what I want to, I guess, translate with this picture is it's like a pulley system. If we go back in the past, like pulley system help you lifting. So same as AI, it reduces the effort required to get the work done. Don't, because what I want to get from as well is that, don't feel bad using it. There's nothing wrong with using AI, but just make sure that you give that extra layer of, this kind of fact check, GPT detection, proofreading, proof editing, and all of that. Use it as a tool that would help you to achieve your result, faster, more effective, with less effort and those kind of things. And last but not least, transparent usage of AI as well is preferred. So there's nothing wrong with AI, but I think people generally prefer if you say you use AI. It just gives that confidence of people know where that's coming from, and people can also know if there's limitation or anything like that. So, yep, I think that's pretty much all I had for today. And yeah, really, I want to open it to the room if you have other examples of what you have seen didn't go so right, or how you have avoid those things as well. So, yep.
Hold on to that.
Yep.
I will do a roaming mic. So this mic is not going through the speakers, but still hold it up to your head for the streaming people. Who has a question? Right. Matt, there you go, man.
How you going? Oh, yeah. Right. My name's Matt. I was thinking about your transparency point, and I think that that's a really cool value to have, right? And just to be clear, are you suggesting that when you prefer AI transparency, you are asking like service providers to disclose whether or not an interaction is powered by a model? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yep. Yes. So I think that's the point that I want to make is that I think it depends a bit on the service or what kind of things you do as well.
Right.
But certain things, I think it's better to say just you use AI to do this to get the service out there.
So here's my question. What do you think about like the capitalist forces that exist in tech? Because I guess they might have a tendency to hide whether an interaction is machine driven or not. Because, there's a lot of money to be made. So how do you balance that, and what do you think about that? I guess I'm asking what your philosophy is on that. Do you understand my question?
Not the first part, if you can repeat. Sorry.
So the capitalist forces that we exist in, right, where we have businesses that want to make money, they will tend to put pressure on us humans to hide the fact that an interaction is machine powered, right? To make it feel like it's a real person. Like everyone will want to make the AI simulate a person so that when we pay for services, we feel like we're interacting with something that's a human, even though it may not be. But you've got this value or this philosophy that we should disclose that. So what do you feel? How do you think about that philosophy when, if there's money to be made, the incentive is to hide it?
Do you have an example of the capitalist forces where they're sort of forcing you to think that it's a real person?
Every service. every big tech service.
So just pretending that it's a real person that you're chatting with, like a chatbot type thing on a.
Or they don't disclose that it's AI powered. Right? I'll give you a concrete example. This is not something I've validated, but for example, I use YouTube Music instead of Spotify. I know, unpopular, but I noticed like very recently, maybe in the last couple of months, my ability to search and instantly get the song that I want in the car has broken. And I don't know why, and I don't have the energy to report a bug, but it just occurred to me today, maybe they deployed an AI-powered search feature instead of the heuristic-based feature that has worked reliably to this point. And now it misses my song. And like if I skip 2 or 3 songs, then I'll maybe get the one that I want. But I'm like, oh, this is so frustrating. Feels like GPT. You know what I mean? So do they have to disclose that? Maybe not. But in the future, we're going to get all sorts of interactions that don't disclose that they're AI powered. So how do you feel about that?
So, I think me personally, and like I mentioned, and I think you have mentioned it as well. Personally, I prefer the transparency. It's not that you wouldn't know anyway. You know anyway. And I think you would appreciate a bit more if they say it's AI. You know why. Now you know why it's happened that way. Like if something changed, people detect it. Like a lot of example that I say as well, right? I think most of you see almost straight away that these are something generated from AI. So it's not that people don't know because you don't tell. They know anyway. And I think people appreciate those transparency. So if you say it's generated by AI and this is how it looks, even though it feels a little like AI, people, I think, feel a little more at ease rather than seeing something that, it's like one day it's human, the other day they still say it's human, but it's not human. That's exactly why I think it's preference. And that's something that I want to share out and I guess embrace is we use it, we say we use it. And as we grow, I think people are more open to AI anyway. Like people adapt to the new technology, people adapt to the change. I can understand like at certain point, you might not want to say AI because you feel that people might, feel bad about you using AI. But as the word grows, as everyone learn what's the good of AI, how it can be the future, you actually get benefits from saying you use AI because you're actually the one, above the curve or the one in front of the curve who start to implement all these technology and software looking to where you can go in the future. So personally, that's where I see it. And like, if I think about like the futuristic movies, for instance, those are AI. They're perfect. They're perfect robot, right? You still know it's robot. So I think it doesn't mean that AI is bad, but this is where I want to shift the belief or shift the feeling of people to say that AI is not bad. It's just part of the adaptation. It's just part of the change. It's just part of where we're going, and this is where I think human interaction and monitoring comes as that extra layer. So I don't want you to say it's AI, it's bad, but how do we coexist with AI in the way that we benefit from it? Not just AI, I don't want to use it, I don't want to touch it, that kind of things. Yeah. Thank you.
I've got 2 comments and a question. The $1 Chevy type thing, from the legal perspective, we would say, look at AI, what's the age of competency? If it's like a child type thing, you will not accept what a child says on face value. So one of the directions that the legal thing is looking at is like putting some sort of maturity label on any kind of AI so that, things which are definitely immature, you cannot take their advice. The second observation is that for AI activities which may be potentially dangerous, the legal professionals are looking into like how do someone manage a pet, okay? If it's a cat, okay. But if you're controlling something like the equivalent of a Rottweiler type thing, you are expected to take responsibility for the actions. So that's the second direction that the legal profession is sort of moving into. So if an AI is an agent of a legal entity, it will be akin to human controlling a dog. It needs to be operating within certain bounds, and if it's dangerous, you take the consequences. So my third question is that what other legal policies would you like to see in regards to regulating AI?
Legal advice.
Policy is not advice.
Yeah, that one I'll be a bit more careful with the legal part, but I think in general I tend to agree. I agree with you in the sense that even if it's AI, whether you call it a pet or whether you call it your whatever, it's your tool. So at the end of the day, you cannot put responsibility or accountability on robots, right? They're not going to pay the damage for you. It's still your company. It's still yourself that needs to be the owner of whatever you deploy, whether it's the same as if you hire someone, if that person do wrong, you as a company also take responsibility of it. So I probably, in that sense of thing, I also see that AI is something that you need to take care of as a company, making sure that it does the things that you intend it to do. And this is where I see the transparency, like mentioned, the feedback loop transparency and human integration, very, very important. Because like if you don't know it's AI, someone could take it wrong, like, your agency did that, and then you need to be fully accountable. If you put an AI frame of it, that this is the tool that does this and that, now it comes into the frame, depending on who you are, of, saying this is the boundary of as much as that AI tool, AI chatbot can do, and, you shouldn't be signing up a legal binding anything with an AI. It should only come from the human representative, for instance. So, yeah, I think that's where I think it's the integration between each other. On the legal side, I probably don't want to touch it too much, but yeah, I would think it's, at a minimum, it would be the same regulation as what you would control, like what any company would do.
Not sure how, around the sort of the development of AI. So if you're looking to actually deploy something or develop your own, how familiar are you with hallucinations? So even though, so one of the companies I'm working for at the moment developed a chatbot that's, intended to be better than many chatbots on e-commerce platforms, etc. And in sort of trials we're sort of going through, even though it's got all the data, it can still come up with, if a customer inputs the question, I'm looking for poly pipe of, 10 mil diameter, it'll come up with product preferences, and sometimes it doesn't come back with exact data that it's been fed. So in terms of the dearth of data that's sort of churning through, it has the hallucinations. So just wondering if you have familiarity with hallucination software that can be used in a developer framework.
Not too much myself. I'm not sure if there's anyone in the room who might be that can help.
So you're looking for, is that just a better promise or turning down the temperature in the development in the API, maybe? Does the temperature then determine how creative the response is? So if you improve that down to 0, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they've done all of that. There's I guess it's a term that they've coined, hallucinations, where even the best do it. Company out of the US has developed hallucination software that's very expensive. So looking for alternatives that aren't going to be costing us $1 million a year to actually, embrace. So I just thought through sort of the freelancer, you might have access to, specialists in that field or something, but that's all right.
Not at the moment, but definitely something that we're starting and growing right now. So that's where we, like I say, even though it's a lot of AI, but I also value a lot like these post-processing and people who know how to make it better, that extra layer. So I do recognize what you're talking about, what the issue is, because it has a different way of learning. So it's no longer, you put A plus B equals C. It's not like that anymore, right? So sometimes it has a way of processing things in a way that we need to find a way to make sure it's still somewhat A plus B equals something within C. It doesn't become something else completely. So yeah.
Probably the best anti-hallucination software would be a human, right? Just put a human on the chatbot.
Yeah, but a bit expensive to roll that out. So.
Yeah. Any other questions? You're closer. Come to you.
Not really a question, but just an observation from an art exhibition that friends of mine went to. Their son was an artist, and he actually did the art himself. And there was also an AI-generated art exhibition like comparatively next door, and none of the AI art was sold, and all of the human-created art sold on the night. So that says something to human intuition as to what is real and what is not real. So interesting. Wasn't disclosed.
Disclosed. Okay.
Not disclosed.
There you go. Detail, right?
Yeah.
On the disclosure, I
interesting.
don't know if anyone uses Blinkist.
Sorry, you had a question?
Yes.
Are you talking?
Go for it.
Okay. So I had a question. If there's any tools in place to protect financial organizations, I'm studying cybersecurity, and we were looking at the case where Singaporean bank employee accidentally clicked on a phishing email, ended up on a Microsoft Teams meeting where all the people from that person's team were AI generated, but they looked exactly like those people. So the person ended up paying like a pretty significant amount of money to this random person because the whole simulation was so realistic. We don't know what happened to the person, but it's quite concerning that the AI is so powerful to the point that it can be misused. Like, how do we use AI to battle those fights?
Big questions. Did you hear a lot of that? So using, I guess, deep fakes and things like that for phishing attempts. So people clicking on a link, seeing something that looks realistic. Have you had any thoughts on battling that using AI?
I personally see that a bit more on the cyber security side of thing rather than AI. I mean, I can see how AI can, in a sense, I don't want to use the word contribute, but how it can make things harder for people. But if I think even like with scam call, let's say, you pick up a call, it's a person on the other side. You still, I mean, I know it's a different setup. That one is real person, this one is computer, so it's slightly different. But then you pick up someone on the other side of the call, a scammer, has a lot of good way to lure you into something very bad. So for me, I probably see that one as a little more on the cyber security type of things. How do you share awareness of people to make sure what are the things to click, what are the things not to click, and how to detect it. It does give an extra layer of what are more things to avoid and what are more things to be careful. It's no longer just, check the email address, that it doesn't just look right, but it has an extra A in the email or something like that. So it might just be an extra thing that you see as something that people need to be aware that this can be the other type of scam that could come up, an extra thing that you should be careful of when you click, when you go through, and that kind of things.
Just a last question. Zero stressful food are tools. You use a knife to either cut up vegetables or use a knife to stab someone. It's a tool. It's how the person uses it that affects what is whether it's lawful or not. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point as well. Like I mentioned, so in a sense, AI it makes things easier, both as in a good way. So like any other tools, right? You can use it in a good way or in a bad way. It just makes a lot of things easier. So people just need to be aware of, there is this extra bits of things that can do a lot more things. It could come in this way or in that way. So as long as you keep your eyes on it, these are extra things that could come up. It might be an extra thing that you need to be careful of. I think that's the way that you just need to be careful. It doesn't mean AI is bad, like anything else, depending on your use of it.
Yep. You got to know what you're clicking on at the end of the day. It's just, question from me. What's your go-to model and prompt for generating realistic images of humans without extra fingers?
First, realistic. You have like option for photorealistic pictures. Use that, and the negative prompt. Actually, I think it's getting better. So like no extra fingers, no extra body parts and all of that. And personally generated 3 times.
3 times. Mid-Journey, DALL-E 3, like is there any particular one that's better than at the moment? I know they're all changing.
With extra human parts, really, I don't find certain models that avoid it better, but I find that in general it seems to work better, like with their letters and the words as well. I think as the model develops and all of that, it seems to be getting it a lot better. I see less of extra fingers, even less of weird action of hand as well. Like you used to have hand, like I don't know how it does that. Don't see
extra
it.
limbs,
You just have hand on the keyboards where there's no keyboards right now like that. Yeah, so I think it's getting better.
Okay. So I've generated some images going, that's almost good except for that bit.
That's why I personally prefer post-processing, because with AI, when you click again, you might end up with something a lot different. But if you put it to post-process, it's just much easier. Yeah.
Cool. And shameless plug, if you do need some post-processing on your AI-generated images, Polarlancer.com, is that right?
Yep. and encourage people who know how to use AI. And, if you have a product, even if it's a company or whatever, through Feed to Release, we want to be like the center place or somewhere that we can connect like these AI platform, AI tools with the businesses as well. So
fantastic. All right. Well, I think we need to wrap this up and have some food and get to know each other. Thank you, Pitchapa. Awesome. All right. Oh, wow. I'll take the mic that's working. So we've got some food up the back. Please help yourselves. Grab another coffee from Joey Zaz's, thanks to the beautiful people at TechOn. And in 2 weeks' time, come and learn about the WA funding landscape from Nana at Maiden Capital. So see you then. Enjoy the week, 2 weeks ahead. Thanks.